Hi, and welcome to part 2 of me explaining the volunteer opportunity with PeaceGeeks in editing our BC Newcomers Guide content in Markdown in languages other than English. So let's get started. All right, so the first thing that you'll want to do once you're ready to dive in is to get set up. So first you will download the program Atom, or you can also use the program called Sublime. Then you're going to open 2 files, so both the English Markdown file we sent you and your target language. So every time you open Atom, you'll have to adjust the view. I'll show you how to do that now. So I'm going to share my window, which shows the program Atom. So I will make it wider here. You can see that I have 3 different tabs open: the Newcomer's Guide in English, the Newcomer's Guide in Korean, and the Newcomer's Guide in Punjabi. So I'll actually share my entire desktop so you can see everything that I'm doing. Okay, so what I would love to do is see English on one side and my target language on the other side. The way that I do that is go to View, and then Panes, and then Split Right. And then I have 2 different panes that are split. So in this one, I have English, this one I have Korean. So there are 2 totally separate files that I can view side by side. That's really important and very key for getting this done. So once you have that all set up, you can view the language side by side. Okay, so now I will walk you through the 8 different things you have to pay attention to as you're editing. So again, the important thing to remember is your job here is make the language you're editing match the English. So as long as you are watching what is happening in the English and you're just making it match, then you will do great. But this is just breaking down all of the different things that you'll be doing when you're making the English match. So so the first one is to label the topic. So you'll see in English that every topic has an ID under it. This is how we split up the document into topics in separate languages. So it's really important that we have these topics in all of our languages. So here's our example. You can see in English, we have the topic Indigenous Peoples, and underneath it, we have an ID topic.bc.1.06. So this is the topic identification. And we need that in English in all of the languages. So I have Korean here. You can see topic / and then written in Korean is the name of this topic. Underneath it is in English ID and this topic identification. So you will be pasting that from the English every time you see it. Okay, the next thing you'll be doing is reordering some content. So it's not everywhere, but throughout the content, we have reordered and combined topics. This is especially true in chapter number 1, which is a combination of the first 2 chapters from the guide, because a lot of that first chapter is kind of about how to use their guide. So that's not content that we transferred to our app. So we ended up combining the 2 into our Welcome to BC chapter. So if you find there's content in English, you're reading through it, and then you look at your target language and you say, this doesn't match, something's missing, there's a paragraph missing, you will see it later, and you should move it up. So what I usually do is I like to do stars and in capital letters, a note to myself, paste this topic here so that it's easy for me to go back and find. Or you can also write down what is the line number where I need to go back and add this in to keep track of that. So I did make a spreadsheet that has which changes have been made to the language. So you can see an example here for chapter 5, education. So education definitions, that's the same. There's no changes we made there. But then in 5.02 in schools, I did say, okay, we actually added getting involved in volunteering and school information into this topic because they were very, very short. They had nowhere else to fit. So it made a lot more sense to move them up. So they're from page 73 from the guide. But again, you will see in your language, you'll recognize, oh, getting involved in volunteering. You'll recognize what content is missing and what you need to move up. Okay, the third thing is spacing. So the most frequently reoccurring problem we see is just spacing. You'll see lines running together, some words that go to the next line where it should be a full sentence, or a paragraph that continues with no disruption. So your job is to make your language version match with the English version. So you can see here on the left, we have topic 1.02, then there's a space, which is called a new line. So we have the new line, and then we have the definition of avalanche. But you can see to the right in Punjabi, the example I have here, there's the ID. There is a space under that, but then it's just one giant paragraph. So when you see these dashes here in Punjabi, that's the same kind of dash that you're seeing after the definition in English. But unfortunately, our editor does not automatically add in those new lines. So the example below, even if you can't read Punjabi, you can see, oh, now there's a line at the end of that definition, and the next definition starts after the new line. So you'll be adding lots of spaces throughout the entire time. Again, just look at the English and make the spaces match. Okay, the fourth thing is the Markdown. So this is more about special formatting. And this part I think is the most, you could say, fun, because the color changes if you're using Atom. When you add in this Markdown language, the color should change if it's correct. So for example, you can actually see here, when you add these two stars, asterisks to both sides of the word turns orange to let you know that it's working. Okay, so we can see here in this example, the URL, the star and the URL are not formatted properly. So there's a star and no space, and then it says ICBC. So it's just white. And then same with this URL. It says icbc.com, and there's parentheses, but it's not actually a working link. So we know that that isn't correct. We know that that wouldn't show up right in the Markdown. So when we do it right, on the bottom there, you can see there's a star, a space, and then ICBC. So the star turns red to let us know that that's correct. And the URL also will turn, whatever is in brackets turns this blue color, and whatever is in parentheses turns this teal color. So it's especially helpful when you'll find lots of broken links. I'll talk about that soon. You'll find lots of broken links, and this is really helpful for your brain to learn, oh, if the link is appearing white, then I know that it is not a valid link. That won't work, and that you need to fix it. Yeah, so you'll see that. And then same thing with when you do a hashtag or double hashtag, it will turn red if it is a header that has been done correctly. Okay, halfway through. So the fifth thing you'll be thinking about are definitions. So this only happens, it's the first topic in the beginning of every chapter. Again, the first chapter is a combination of two, so you'll see two topics that this falls under. But the beginning of every chapter, the first topic is a list of definitions. So your language you're editing only has the word written with no English. But it is very helpful, as you can imagine, for the users of our app to see what the English word is for this definition they're reading in their language. So we are asking you to add the English word into parentheses after the first language. So when you look at this example in Punjabi, it just has the word, a very long phrase. Actually, I obviously can't read what it says, but has a long phrase and then a dash and then just the explanation. So that's what all of the definitions will look like, just that target language. But at the bottom, you can see in the Korean, there's the Korean word, and then in parentheses, the English word agency. And that's all within the double star bracket. So all of that will be bold. So again, very helpful for someone who maybe only speaks Korean to be able to see, oh, now I know what is this word in English as well, as they're reading through. So that's why we do that. All right, next up, we have number 6, adding your language translation. So there are really just a few places in the document, maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 different spots you'll see where we are missing the translation in your language for this word or phrase, especially if it's a topic title. So you'll definitely see, you know, it's in English, but then the topic isn't quite matching. Sometimes, for example, we combine senior center, community center, and I think libraries. So it's broken up as 3 separate topics you'll see in your language. Those would be so small in our app that we combine them all. And so you will have to move up and make the topic title match the English to be community centers, senior centers, and public libraries in your language all in one. Another example I can think of is the topic Know Your Rights as a Tenant. So again, we combined a few different things in order to make the content the right length and the right order for our app. And so that's why we do need you to type in your language what is the topic title for Know Your Rights as a Tenant. Again, you'll see in the English when this comes up and you'll recognize where you should be doing these translations, but it's just a few spots. Okay, number 7 is removing bookmarks. So this, of course, comes from a PDF guide. So in that PDF, there's lots of different bookmarks that you'll see that say, for more information, go to page 87. So this is wonderful for people who are reading the giant PDF document. But again, imagine it's broken up as topics in our app and there's no longer pages. So it doesn't make any sense to have go to page 87. Well, there is no page 87. So we ask that you remove the full sentence when you see that. So here's a screenshot from English. Here at the very end of this paragraph, it says, for more information about home internet services, see page 38. So we just completely erase that. And then in Korean as well, you can see it shows up as a link, 42, bookmark, 54. So we know, okay, that's a bookmark to page 42. So we would just delete that entire sentence. Okay, and the last thing is URLs. So unfortunately, hyperlinks do not show correctly. Sometimes they do, but a lot of times they don't. So anytime you see a website in your language that is not blue, so it isn't working, please paste the correct URL from the English side. So on the top, you can see there's the URL about immigrating to Canada. And it is this teal color, so we know it works. But in the bottom, we can obviously see this is simplified Chinese. We can see that the link is not working here. So all you have to do is highlight the one in English, copy, and paste it over. And those are the 8 things that you should remember when you are editing this information. I'll also just quickly show you a few things to know in Atom. So as I mentioned, this is the same as any word processor. I press Command F on my Mac or Control F, and then you can find at the bottom, you can search for anything. There's also replace, you shouldn't have to use that. But yeah, so now that I'm on this pane, the Punjabi pane, I am searching within that, and then I click over to the right to go to the Korean. So I'll go to the English and I can search for ICBC, which shows up 81 times in the guide. So yeah, you can see how many times it shows up. Also, it's case insensitive here, so it would find if it's capital or not. And then another thing, sorry, that you might be interested to know is you can press Command A and it highlights everything. If you would need to copy any of that. Honestly, I'm sure there are lots more tricks to Atom that I don't even know. So I encourage you to search on YouTube for Atom tutorials, and maybe you'll find some things that would help make you even more proficient in doing Markdown language. So thank you so much for your time. My name is Alicia. I'm with PeaceGeeks, and we really appreciate you helping out and volunteering for us. This will be a great opportunity for newcomers who come who are speaking your language to be able to access the newest version of the Newcomer's Guide and the most up-to-date information in their first language. So we really appreciate it. And yeah, have a good day. Thank you.